Hi drummers, hope you're well. Right, little one for you here about country music on drums. Shout out to channel member Kenneth and a few other people who've asked about this. This is just my perspective on country music on drums. There's a few things to say about this, really, and I would say one of the main things just to say right at the start is, this is an old cliche, but a good one I think. Country music is storytelling music, right? And as such, I would say, generally speaking, our role as drummers is not to be the centre of attention. Our role is to make it feel great, to support the music, to be part of the team that makes it feel right and communicate the right emotion in the music and give it a lift and all those amazing things that drums do. But I would say, generally speaking, we're not the centre of attention. You don't usually see country drummers sort of flying around the kit, playing really busy patterns. I'm sure there are plenty of exceptions, but generally speaking, that's how I see it. Our role here is to provide a beat, to make it feel good, to play it fairly straight. The other thing I would say about country music is, I wouldn't say there's no one particular drum beat where you say, yeah, that's the country drum beat. If you were cornered, you might say the thing, we'll get to this in a second, the thing called the train beat, you might say that's like the all-time classic country music drum beat. But generally speaking, I would say when you're playing country music, you end up playing a whole host of different types of drum beat. So yeah, train beat, but also a straight eights feel, a shuffle, a 12/8 feel, like a waltz sometimes as well. I'll get to this in a minute, like a country sort of swung waltz, sometimes a half-time waltz, and then other things as well, like a 16th note feel, like a two-step as well, an umpire sort of two-step. So one of the things, if you're going to play country drums, I would say, is to make sure you're on top of all of those things. Pretty much all of those beats I've already made separate videos about as well, and I'll link to all those in the video description below. But what I'll do now is just whiz through these pretty quick. So like I say, if I was absolutely cornered and someone said, what's the most country drum beat in the world, I'd probably say it's a train beat, something that sounds like this. So you get this in bluegrass music, where it's usually played pretty fast, can be like seriously fast sometimes in certain bluegrass tunes. But in more country music or sort of poppy country music, you do hear it played a little slower as well. I wrote down a couple of examples actually. A real fast one is Ricky Skaggs' "Country Boy." A slower, more kind of classic one is Willie Nelson, "On the Road Again." A couple of examples for you, and I'll link to those in the description below as well, just as an example. Now, the big idea with the train beat is you're playing a single stroke roll. I tend to think of this as 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Typically, your bass drum and hi-hat will go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. And we're going to accent on the and, giving it what you might call a double time feel, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So, like I say, if you had to say, like, what's the most archetypal classic country beat, you might say that. Cool. There's a variation on that which you hear quite a lot, which is like a right stick or like ride stick plays a jazzy type of swing pattern. This is not really a country song, but you know Mud, right, by Tiger Feet. No, sorry, Tiger Feet by Mud. It goes... So just as a sort of variation, you do hear quite a bit in country on the snare drum, rather than 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. You do sometimes hear. So right stick playing like a swing pattern, 1, 2 and 3, 4, and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, and then snare drum playing left stick or snare hand playing a backbeat, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. As a little variation on the train beat. Next one, I would say maybe the country 2 beat or 2 feel. So basically, umpa, 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 umpa. This is especially when it gets quicker, I'd say, and sometimes you don't want the busyness of the train beat. On the snare, you just play a 2 feel. So or a polka, right? That kind of feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's sometimes written in 2, but sometimes written in 4/4. So basically, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's one you should be up on, ready to play if you're going to play country. That kind of feel. Then you've got a shuffle. I think you just hear this all over the place in country music as well. A shuffle. A shuffle, of course, is when you play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. So typically in the most basic version, kick and snare play 1, 2, 3, 4, and hi-hat. Maybe ride cymbal. I would say, to my ears in country music, more the hi-hat. You play swung eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I would say a lot of the time in country music, especially on the slower shuffle tunes, it's a side stick for the snare drum. If you think of something like Tammy Wynette, right? Stand By Your Man. 1 and 2. And especially, in fact, when it's into like a bit more country and western so-called feel, I would say the side stick, the rim click on the snare drum is king. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So they're the sort of, for me, the kind of most traditional country type of grooves. The train beat and that little sort of jazzy variation, which is quite fun. The country 2-beat or 2-step, umpa, 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 and the shuffle. The thing is, of course, with country music as well, especially since the sort of 1970s in particular, I think, the Nashville sound, so-called. I should say, by the way, I've been hugely influenced on this video by this amazing book, The Drummer's Bible, and this amazing chapter all about country music there. Can't recommend this book enough. It's all about different musical styles and various other sources. But I say, for the most part, The Drummer's Bible. The Nashville sound is like where country music, I guess, got a bit more poppy and moved away from the more traditional old school country sounds and got to move towards a sort of rock pop country sound that we sort of associate with Nashville these days, I guess. So if you're playing that sort of country music, a little bit more modern, well, listen, you're going to be playing a straight eighths feel, a triplet feel, and a 16th note feel a lot. So as in a straight eighths feel, something like, and so a basic rock beat, right? Probably relatively simple fills. So definitely a straight eighths feel. I would say a triplet feel or a 12/8 feel. In fact, this is a really big one. So a lot of like country ballads, pop ballads would have a 12/8 or triplet feel, something like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet. If you think of Crazy, Willie Nelson. So if you think of Willie Nelson, Crazy. Triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Sometimes called a 12/8 feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So quite similar to a blues drum beat. 2, 3, 4. That lovely rounded triplet feel. You do also get waltz time a lot in country music, so this is one to be aware of. Usually swung, so waltz time as in 3/4, 3 crotchets in the bar. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Typical example, something like 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. That kind of feel. I would say in country music, mostly or most often, I feel like the snare drum hit is on the 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. If you think if this isn't really a country song actually in the traditional sense, but if you're doing your Trinity Rock and Pop grades, grade 3, Never Loved a Man, Aretha Franklin, it's got that kind of feel, hasn't it? That kind of swingy waltz feel. That comes up a lot in country music. And then whilst we're talking about waltzes, the halftime waltz, I would say, is worth being up on as well for country. And this is when the snare drum hit is on beat 1 of like the second bar of a 2-bar phrase. Really good example of this is Eagles' Take It to the Limit. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That kind of feel, not super common, but worth being up on, I would say. Cool. And then just other ones that you would just come across in rock and pop music. I guess a 16th note feel is worth mentioning. Quite often in a slower country sort of ballad type of tune, you might end up playing 16th notes, particularly with one stick on the hi-hat, sort of slow to moderate tempo. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. That kind of relaxed feel, I reckon. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and a 2 E and. That kind of feel. I would say that pretty much covers it. If you had those down and you were super happy with all of those, you could feel, reasonably comfortable, I reckon, playing country music. I'll recap them real quick. Most country beat of all, I reckon, the train beat. Little jazzy variation I like, where the right stick plays jazz ride, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, and the snare drum plays a backbeat, 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. A country 2-beat or 2-step, something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A shuffle. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Could well be with a side stick for a ballady type of feel. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A straight ahead rock or pop, straight 8s feel. Triplet feel or 12/8 feel. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. What else did we say? Oh, a waltz, a country waltz. Snare drum on beat 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Halftime country waltz, snare drum on beat 1 of the second bar of a 2-bar phrase. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2, 3, 2, 3. Like a good old Take It to the Limit. And then maybe a little 16th note feel. I reckon if you're on top of those, like I say, that pretty much covers it. So it's a funny one, and apologies if this video seems a little bit all over the place, but I think country music has that element to it. Like, you need to be prepared to go in all sorts of different directions. When country music comes up in the improvising of the Trinity Rock and Pop grades, for people who are doing that at grade 2, one of the things we say about it is you actually don't really know what you're going to get. Whereas at grade 1 with rock and pop and ballad, it was quite sort of formulaic. You knew basically what you were going to play before the music started. With country music, that wasn't true. You have to really use your ears. It could be a rock thing. It could be a ballad thing, much more soft or slow. It could be a pop thing. Like I said, it could be a shuffle. It could be a waltz thing. Like, there's a lot of different possibilities. It could be an up-tempo train beat thing. And like I say, if you're into the territory of like bluegrass country music, then it could be much faster train beat type of stuff, really quite physically demanding. So there's a lot to it, but that's the list, I reckon. If you think I've missed anything off the list that you end up playing in a country band, please let me know. And a shout out again to this amazing book, which I lean on a lot for a lot of things that I do, including teaching the Drummer's Bible. Really recommend that. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Definitely the country chapter is a big influence on this video there. So thanks for watching. Shout out to Kenneth. Like I say, I hope that gives you some ideas. Like I say, for each groove there, I've actually done separate videos about them, and I'll link to all those in the description below. I hope that was helpful. Any questions about that or anything else, give us a shout, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.